Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. It's time to work on Xiu Dao in today's video. Spring is coming, it's getting warmer and warmer. According to the Taoist concept, spring is the season in which the yang energy rises more than in other seasons, especially winter, making spring a great time to cultivate the yang energy. So, people will normally experience a stronger energy sensation when practicing Xiu Dao in the springtime. Speaking from observation and personal experiences of many practitioners over the millennia, rising yang energy may stimulate some energy channels in the body, often causing people to feel more tired than in other seasons. So, according to the Taoist practice, Xiu Dao practitioners should adjust the Xiu Dao practice according to the season. For example, using stronger martial fire or wuhuo to refine energy, and at the same time take a longer time to let the energy settle by using wenhuo or civil fire. Furthermore, a proper diet containing food that can benefit the livers, such as green tea and berries, are traditionally recommended in this season. More importantly, we should take advantage of the yang energy rising in this season and practice more. Even seasonal change should be used as a good opportunity for serious practitioners to improve their practice. Today's Xiu Dao topic is Zhong or middle meridian, middle channel, a very advanced topic in Taoist practice, but it has not been widely discussed as other energy channels used in different types of energy cultivations. Zhong is also a concept and key focus for the Taoist middle school or Daojia Zhongpai. Check out my video titled Different Schools of Xiu Dao. To know more about the different schools of Xiu Dao practice, link is in the description. But first, let's warm up with Dao De Jing commentary and Xiu Dao. Today's Dao De Jing topic is from the 11th chapter, a very short one that has some very interesting concepts, especially its application in Xiu Dao practice. In the previous chapter, Lao Tzu introduced the procedures of practicing Xiu Dao or Taoist meditation by emphasizing the concept that Ren Dao or the Dao for humans should follow Tian Dao or the Dao of heaven. He mentioned 6 questions which he also answered by himself to express his philosophical idea about how to manage oneself in society. Building upon his introduction in the previous chapter, he discussed the relationship between Qi and Dao. Qi means tool, tangible objects, or anything with the form. According to Lao Tzu, Qi has the physical nature, while Dao has an intangible and spiritual nature. So, the relationship between Qi and Dao, or container and Dao, is one of the key philosophical questions that has existed for more than 2,000 years. So, in his chapter, Lao Tzu said, quote, 山之以为器，当其无有器之用；凿户有以为尺，当其无有尺之用。End quote. Translation: Clay is fashioned into vessels, but it is on their empty hollowness that their use depends. The door and the windows are cut off from the walls to form an apartment, but it is on the empty space within that its use depends. End translation. So, in this chapter, Lao Tzu started introducing the concept of emptiness or xu a term that we have introduced before. So, as Lao Tzu added after these sentences, quote, 故有之以为利，无之以为用, end quote. Translation. Therefore, existence renders actual, but non-existence renders useful. End translation. In other words, existence and non-existence coexist and are intertwined. The first time Lao Tzu discusses the relationship between existence and non-existence. This term can be expressed by using Lao Tzu's term 有无相生, or existence and non-existence mutually depends on each other, as introduced in the second chapter. So, 有 or existence and 无 non-existence are a pair of key philosophical concepts in 道德经. Lao Tzu emphasized the concept of 无 or non-existence. For example, he believed that the origin of the universe is emptiness or non-existence. He also believed that Dao should not have a name. On the same token, cultivation means to cultivate emptiness or non-existence. Zhang Boduan, the author of the 悟真篇 or Understanding the Reality, and also the founder of the Southern Taoist School or 道家南宗, wrote in his book called 道自虚无生一气，便从一气产阴阳, end quote. Translation. Dao rises from the emptiness, then generates the yi qi or the one energy. The yi qi or the one energy generates yin and yang. End translation. So here, Lao Tzu said that everything arises from the emptiness, the wu, which was introduced in this chapter. So in Xiu Dao practice, the practitioners should focus on the Xu Wu, the empty place. Then, what is the empty place in Xiu Dao practice? Well, it can be the lower dantian, the whole body, or the whole universe, depending on the specific context in Xiu Dao practice. Now, let's go back to talking about qi and Dao. Qi, as mentioned moments ago, means tool. So, in Xiu Dao practice, even though we will eventually focus on the Dao or the emptiness, we have to start from the practice of qi, the tool. In other words, from 有为 to 无为, or from existence to non-existence. With that, let's move on to today's main topic, 中脉. Topics covered in today's video include: first, a mystery channel; second, recourse of the middle channel; third, location of the middle channel; fourth, practice of the middle channel; fifth, key principles; sixth, misperception; and seventh, takeaways. So, without any further ado, let's get started. Topic 1. A mystery channel. When people talk about Taoist meditation, 督脉 or the governing meridian and 人脉 the conception meridian are two of the most important energy channels. To those who are not very familiar with these two meridians, 督脉 or the governing meridian is the one energy path that starts from the perineum, running up the length of the spine, through the brain, over the top of the head. The 人脉 or conception meridian starts from the perineum area, running up to the front part of our body to the top of the head. It is worth noting that even though the name and the basic energy flowing paths of these two meridians are very identical to the same used in acupuncture, their detailed functions and flowing paths are different. So, if you study TCM, then the knowledge of the Qi, Jing, Ba Mai, or 8 extraordinary meridians can be used in Xiu Dao. However, in Xiu Dao, you just need to know the approximate location of these 8 meridians instead of being so precise as in TCM. Since Xiu Dao practice emphasizes energy flow, it is not used to locate specific and precise acupuncture points on the body for treatment purposes. Even more, applying the same approach to locate the exact place of these meridians in Xiu Dao practice is taboo, since this approach is considered too postnatal, which goes against the Xiu Dao principle. After understanding the function and the appropriate approach used in Xiu Dao practice in dealing with the Du Mai and the Ren Mai, you may have also heard about the middle channel, especially to those who practice the Indian style of meditation or Tibetan Buddhist meditation. The concept and the practice of the middle channel are very important. Very often, meditation practitioners wonder whether there is the same concept as the middle channel as used in Indian-based practice, or whether Dao is only practiced Du and Ren meridians. These questions will be answered in the following sections. Those who have practiced Xiu Dao for years may have already experienced an energy refinement phenomenon in which they feel an energy flow upward and downward along the central line of the body, but have a hard time explaining it. Since they are practicing small orbit circulation, which is the energy moving along the center of the body. Even more interesting is that when Xiu Dao practitioners try to find the answer in those ancient documents, a detailed explanation is nowhere to be found. All of these issues are actually caused by the lack of information about this mysterious meridian, the middle meridian or Zhong Mai. This video aims to give a brief yet sufficient explanation of it. In order to avoid unnecessary confusion, I will call this meridian as the middle channel, since the term meridian is very physical, but the term channel is more suitable for energy-related practice. Now, let's look at some written record of the middle channel in the next topic. Topic 2. Records of a middle channel. Zhong Mai or middle channel are called different names. The most popular one in ancient time is Zhong Huang. Zhong means middle and Huang means yellow. Put together, it means middle yellow. Now, if you think about the name, the word Zhong or middle is easy to understand since it is the middle channel. But how about the word Huang or yellow? Why did they use the color yellow to represent this channel? Well, because in Taoism, mind and spirit are related to the spleen, and the color of the spleen in Taoism is yellow, same as the concept used in TCM. So, Zhong Huang or middle yellow, sometimes also spelled Huang Zhong or yellow middle, means the middle channel. So the word Zhong Huang was mentioned many times in Huang Ting Jing, a classic Taoist document written by Wei Huacun, a female Taoist priest more than 2,000 years ago. Another popular name for the middle channel is called Huang Dao. Huang means yellow, and Dao means path, road, or Dao. So, Huang Dao means yellow path. The word yellow here has the same meaning as in yellow middle, introduced only a minute ago. So, the word 黄道 is used to describe the energy path. For example, Zhang Boduan, the founder of the Southern School of Taoism, the author of the famous Taoist classic 物真篇 or Understanding the Reality, said, quote, 方能超二气于黄道，会三性于元功 end quote. Translation, then it can make two energies merge at the yellow path and make the three natures meet together at the yuangong or the original palace. After Zhang Boduan used the term 黄道 or yellow path to describe the merging place of the two energies, some other scholars, for example, Li Daochun, the founder of the Taoist middle school or Zhong Pai, the author of the famous Taoist book 中和集 or the Middle Harmony Collections, said, quote, 传促五行，和四象，追二气归黄道，会三性于元功，返本还原，归根复命，功元神备，凡退为先，谓之丹成也。End quote. Translation: Integrate the 5 elements and the 4 images. Chase the 2 energies and return to the yellow path, and make 3 natures meet together at the yuangong or the original palace. This is the way of returning to the root and origin. Then the great practice becomes an achievement, and ordinary people become immortal. This is called the compilation of elixir. In the translation. Here, Li Daochun hints that the 2 energies or the yin and the yang energies must return to Huang Dao or the yellow path. We can see that the yellow path is the result of the integration of different elements of practice and the starting point of a great achievement in Xiu Dao. Huang Yuanji, a famous name in Dao's practice, a name that I have introduced in one of my Xiu Dao videos titled Different School of Xiu Dao, practiced the middle school, and he used the term 中黄 many times in his book to emphasize the importance of this practice. Min Xiaogen, a very prominent middle school Taoist scholar, explained the yellow channel in his collection. He said that there were 3 paths in the human body, named black, red, and yellow. The yellow path moves upward, starting from between the kidney and the navel and moving toward the top of the head. The red path moves downward and merges with the yellow path, then moves up with the black path from the back and then merges with the yellow. Also, Min Xiaogen explained the reason for naming the Du channel black and the Ren channel red. He said, the Du path, the one moving in the back, follows the kidney path, since Taoists use black to represent water and water represents the kidney according to the 5-element theory. He called black path the Du path. Also, since the Ren path is located in the front part of the body, and the red color represents fire, and the fire represents the heart according to the Taoist concept, he used the red path to represent the Ren path. Then the yellow path is the one that only works with the prenatal energy and is related to Earth, which is represented by the yellow color according to the Taoist concept. So, those were some most important Taoist classics that mentioned the middle channel concept. Again, it is a channel, a concept, not a physical organ or tube at all. So, where is the middle channel located exactly? That brings us to the next topic. Topic 3. Location of the middle channel. There's no way to practice the middle channel without knowing its location. Basically, there are a few descriptions of its location. Those are: first, a straight line connecting the top of the head to the perineum area. Second, similar to the Zhong Mai in TCM. Third, a whole area behind the heart but in front of the spine, moving up to the head and down to the perineum area. Let me explain this one by one. The first one, a straight line connecting the top of the head to the perineum area. Well, it may sound right, but in practice, there's no such line, and especially not a straight line. When energy moves along the center line, it is neither straight nor centered. The reason for this mistake is that people get confused by the word Zhong. Very often, people take the term at face value instead of going deeper into its real meaning. The second one, similar to the Zhong Mai in TCM, Zhong Mai, also called the penetrating meridian, originates in the space between the kidneys and moves up along the Du Mai or governing meridian and Ren Mai or conception meridian. Its internal branch descends through the uterus and emerges in the perineum. It is one of the 8 extraordinary meridians used in TCM and also a very important one in terms of its function of managing the energy of the 12 main meridians. Unfortunately, this precise description is used for TCM, but not for Xiu Dao, since the middle channel should be inside the body, not as shallow as described. The third one, this is the whole area between the heart and the spine and then moves up to the head and down to the perineum area. This is the middle channel as described in most of the classic Xiu Dao documents. Since it is the path for energy cultivation, it should be more about an area instead of a mere line. Also, a simple TCM meridian concept cannot sufficiently explain an energy phenomenon. This is why this description is the most reliable and used one in the Xiu Dao community, especially in the middle school, as talked about by Min Xiaogen. It is worth noting that an energy path is not like a physical tube, but instead a channel through which energy would pass once the body is ready. Any practice that uses a very physical, precise description of an energy experience is not correct, or else it would become a postnatal practice, which goes against the Dao's principle used in Xiu Dao practice for thousands of years. Topic 4. Practice of the middle channel. This video is not for teaching purposes. It is especially infeasible to teach a practice like Zhong Mai in such a short video. Regardless, I will introduce some fundamental knowledge required to practice it. So please pay attention to the details that I will talk about in this part. Basically, there are 3 types of beliefs in terms of the overall approach of the middle channel practice based on the practice approach. First, middle channel practice does not need practice of the small orbit circulation, but one can work on it directly. Second, the middle channel practice is the same as the small orbit practice. And third, middle channel practice is a step up the small orbit practice. Let me explain. First, without practicing the small orbit as its foundation, it is almost impossible for most people to reach the expected result. I introduced the writing collected in Min Xiaogen's book that the middle channel would connect and integrate with the Du and Ren meridians. So the middle channel has to work together with the Du and Ren meridians. So without a good practice of the Du and Ren or the small orbit practice, it is very hard, if not impossible, to reach the expected result. Even worse, it can create a lot of unexpected energy-related issues. In the old times, it was called 闯黄. 闯 means moving incorrectly, and 黄 is yellow. 闯黄 is a term to describe energy going to the wrong place. I have seen this type of case many times. I developed a method to correct this issue by adopting some ancient practices. I will introduce this method in the future. Second, the middle channel practice is the same as the small orbit practice. Well, this is another mistake. We have to know that based on what I have introduced in the last section, the three paths, red path, black path, and yellow path, are three different types of energy channels. The practice of the red and the black channels cannot replace the practice of the yellow path. Red and black channel practice focuses on circulation, while the yellow path practice focuses on the overall energy rising and falling through different energy channels. The practices are different, channels are different, and energy experiences are different too. So this understanding is just incorrect. Third, middle channel practice is a step after the small orbit practice. This is the most suitable method, at least to the majority of practitioners. The middle channel will open after only the small orbit cultivation reaches a good level. This is the experience based on many people's practice, including myself. So, to start off, first work on the small orbit practice. Gradually, the middle channel will open. After understanding the three types of beliefs about the practice method, let me now explain the third approach further. The overall method is to first focus on the lower dantian area. Then energy rises through the middle channel. Then adjust the energy breathing and coordinate it with the upper and the lower dantian together. Then when the energy rises upward, gradually let it naturally move back to the lower dantian area, and so on. During this time, some much subtler energy experience will occur, such as the disappearance of the feeling of the limbs and the whole body, some spiritual experiences, and so on. I will talk more about it in the future. So far, I have touched upon the key aspect of this quote-unquote mysterious practice. Now, let me introduce a couple of key concepts to help you understand them better, which brings us to the next topic. Topic 5. Key principles. Relevant principles can help a practitioner understand any topic better. I'd like to introduce two of them in today's video. First, 气从定中来. Energy is from the static state. And second, 练心为要. Cultivation of the mind is the priority. Let me explain them one by one. First, energy is from the static state. Please pay attention to the word 气. It is not the same as the qi used in qigong or martial art. It has the specific meaning in Xiu Dao practice. Actually, qi here means prenatal energy. The whole sentence tells us that the prenatal energy is from the static state, meaning that a practitioner has to adopt a static approach in practice in refine the energy. Let the energy rise by itself in a static state. That is the real rising energy, the real meaning of qi, the prenatal energy. Second, 练心为要. Cultivation of the mind is the priority. In Xiu Dao practice, especially after reaching an advanced level or after you have experienced more energy phenomena, paying special attention to the mind and attitude becomes more important than ever. Just like Lao Tzu said in the Dao De Jing, one should reach emptiness in order to follow the great Dao, and cultivating our mind and attitude is the way to reach emptiness, the ultimate objective of Taoist practice. There are many principles that one has to follow in order to practice the middle channel. I will find a chance to introduce more in the future. Now, let me explain a common misperception in the next topic. Topic 6. Misperception. Zhong or middle channel is not a very commonly discussed topic due to its mysterious nature, but practices that are used by many people actually go against the middle channel practice and can be found everywhere. Some people in practice try to use the mind to lead the energy upward and downward along the middle channel. That is a big mistake. Let me debunk it. The method used by those people is called ban yun. Ban means moving and yun means transport. Put together, it describes a practice in which a practitioner uses a mind to move the energy inside the body. It is very important to remember and apply the concept of the static approach. The whole Xiu Dao practice follows the concept of the static approach, which means that prenatal energy rises in a static state. Any intentional movement of energy by the mind alone along the middle channel is a mistake, which was criticized and forbidden by all the Dao's classics and teachers. It is another example of 闯黄, the term I introduced in the last section. Ban yun can actually create a lot of health issues. Knowing the reason is not as important as avoiding it. So, the key takeaway here is to simply avoid ban yun. Topic 7. Takeaways. First, a mystery channel. Middle channel or Zhong has not been a very commonly discussed topic in the Xiu Dao community due to its mysterious nature. However, it attracts a great deal of interest to many Xiu Dao practitioners because of its effectiveness in practice. Second, some Xiu Dao classics mentioned this term and explanation without sufficient instruction because of Taoist tradition. Third, where is it? This is the whole area between the heart and the spine and then moves up to the head and down to the perineum area. Even though different scholars in history describe it differently, the overall approach shares the same characteristics. Fourth, how to practice it. Since middle school used a different approach in the energy refinement process, different scholars in history adopted different methods in terms of its relationship with other Xiu Dao practice itself. The overall approach follows the practice of part of the small orbit practice and then let the energy rise along the middle channel. Fifth, key principles. Two key principles are: first, 气从定中来 energy is from the static state. Second, 练心为要 cultivation of the mind is the priority. Top 6, misperception. Some people in practice try to use the mind to lead the energy upward and downward along the middle channel. That is the big misperception. Xiu Dao practice follow a static approach, and any intentional movement of energy by the mind is a mistake. That brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you for watching. See you next time and enjoy your practice.